outside of crypto. Within crypto, a lot of people got smoked over the last 2 months. And part of the ETH BTC underperformance was, over the last couple of months was that it was like the only thing that people were still long, for all the reasons that we just talked about. And people were fire sailing stuff, or in some cases, in a good amount of cases, getting liquidated, liquidations happening into a zero bid environment, basically. But you clawed a lot of that back already, incredibly rapidly. And, I just think the entry point for institutional capital just looks a lot more attractive here if you can get some of these macro tailwinds. Like, if the Fed is wind sprinting towards a recession and potentially some kind of market crash type of scenario, institutional capital, I think, is going to have pretty limited interest in getting long ETH in with that kind of backdrop. But if you can get some, a path to a slowdown in tightening, or specifically, the biggest upside risk in my view for macro is some kind of credible treaty situation in the Ukraine conflict. And I don't mean to make light of that at all, because there's tons of people that are dying, and I mean it's just it's a really horrific thing. So I don't mean to talk about it just in the context of financial markets, but that's the context of what we're talking about here. But if you can get some kind of credible treaty there, that's gonna have this setup of like commodity prices down. They've already come down. They've already come off a lot off the high, but like commodity prices down, tightening expectations down, inflation expectations down, equities up, crypto up, and that would be the backdrop for I think crypto broadly and ETH specifically to run tremendously hard if all of that kind of lines up and you end up threading the needle there. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I think that is the setup.
So Travis, let's kind of close this out with our boxing match here of like macro versus the merge here, right? And so in the left corner we've got macro, things looking kind of ugly. Let's say that persists, because as much as we'd all like to paint the happy picture of, hey, things are going to get better on the macro front. And maybe the Fed will turn some things around and start money printing and thread the needle. That might not happen, right? We might be set up for like a longer winter, and maybe that's kind of the base case. So on in the left corner, we have that macro looking ugly. But then in the right corner, we have the most significant event-driven catalyst that we've ever seen in crypto, which is the merge. And ETH goes deflationary, becomes an internet bond, has all of those tailwinds of an ESG narrative and deflationary asset in the backdrop of all the sovereign debt bubble that we're seeing all around us. Who wins this boxing match, right? Does like ETH number go up if macro is really bad, but like the merge is really good? Or like, does it still get knocked out by the Fed? I mean, that's the rule that we've been told. Don't fight the Fed. And here's the ETH merge in a boxing match with Jerome Powell. Who's going to win?
Yeah. I would not want to be like, if you knew, let's say you knew the repo market was going to blow up in September, I would not want to be long anything cash. You'd want to be in all cash. It just the RR of that would not be compelling to me to be long. But again, I'm like, I don't want to come too much from a trader's. I don't know. That's like a very tradery way to answer that question. A lot of people don't think about their own exposure like that. You probably shouldn't, because it's a really, really hard job. But if the macro is bad or getting even worse, I do think that ETH is going to kind of struggle to outperform, and the merge catalyst is going to struggle to be realized just from a price performance perspective, because of that macro overhang. But there's, like I said, asset prices are about expectations and positioning and rate of change.
Very good. Here's what I'm getting in summary. So like, if macro goes well, man, we are off to the races. Okay.